So what strategies or systems that you think were most critical to scaling your business?
Yep. Most critical, number one, is you've got to have a good infrastructure.
Welcome to another episode of Live the Grace Life. I'm your host, Corey Holman, and today I'm really excited because what we want to do is be able to help businesses to scale their business. Be able to think beyond where you are today so you can build for tomorrow. And today I have with us a special guest, Dr. Tracy Knighton. She has a business called Nova Counseling Services. She's been in business for 11 years. Please help me welcome Dr. Tracy Knighton.
Well, good day to you. Good day to everyone watching. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, part of the reason we wanted to bring Dr. Tracy, number one, she's a friend, she's a partner, she's done a lot of things in this community in Southwest Georgia and beyond. But what we want to do is showcase her story because she has built a business that has reached 7 figures. And that's important because we want to highlight how she did it in a rural community. All right, so let's get started.
Okay.
Can you share your journey and what inspired you to start Nova Counseling Services?
It's a funny story, actually. First, I was bullied into it.
Okay.
So let's start there.
All right.
Actually, I started out my counseling career as a school counselor. And I had a lot of students graduate and still want to come back and get counseling once they graduated from high school.
Okay.
So I had a parent come in and she said to me, Tracy, you really need to be a licensed professional counselor so that way people can access you out of school. And I went, yeah, no, I don't want to do that. But she kept at me and kept at me until one day she just showed up at the school with my application already filled out, right, and said, sign here. And she mailed it and everything. And Corey, it took me a year, almost to the day, to take the licensure test because I was like, yeah, I don't want to do that. But I took the test, passed the test, and that was in March of 2014.
Okay.
2013. A full year, and I meet someone else who is already doing what I was doing, doing what I'm now doing,
Yeah.
and said, hey, we should go into business together. And I said, okay, it sounds interesting because I had no idea about the type of business that I had now. And so listening to this individual, we decided we were going to start our business together.
Okay.
Right. And we put in our application because actually the business, part of the business, there's 2 sides to it. There's the private practice.
Okay.
And then there's the contracted part. And so the contract was due in Atlanta. And the week of the contract being due, the person ghosted me.
The partner.
The partner.
Oh, wow.
I had the paperwork. Lawrence and I were going through it. And he says, well, just submit it. And let's just see what happens. Yeah. And I said, okay. So we submitted the paperwork. About 3 weeks later, we get a letter in the mail. That's when stuff was still coming through the mail. We get a letter in the mail that says, congratulations, you're now a provider, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And we both looked at each other and we were like, okay, what does this mean? And what do we need to do? So fast forward again, a few more months, we were in church. Lawrence had to preach at a church out of town, and we were in church. And the pastor's assistant introduced herself and everything and was taking care of me and Lawrence. And she said, so what do you do? And I told her, I said, well, we just became providers. And I was explaining to her the business. She says, believe it or not, I work in that space as well, and I'm going to start using you. And that's how the business got started.
Wow.
We got service authorizations to provide services for children in foster care and their families. And we would have to call her and go, okay, we got this sheet of paper. What does that mean? So the business started out in 2014 with 2 people, Lawrence as the transporter and behavior aide and me as the therapist. And we just grew from there, just falling into potholes, pulling ourselves out, asking questions, showing up in places, being available, but more importantly, learning our craft. And that's continuous. Even now, 14 years later, we're still learning. We're still making sure that we're providing quality customer care. And you know how important that is.
Absolutely.
And that's Lawrence's,
Heartbeat.
that's his heart. He wants to make sure we're providing quality care.
Wow. So I think the interesting thing is even how you said in the starting point, someone helped you in terms of wanting to start with you,
Yes.
and then they ghost you, right?
Yeah.
And those are things that people think about. There's challenges to business. There's challenges to things you didn't expect, and we don't even really know what we're walking into, right?
Right.
But we learn, we grow, and then, like you said, is being able to hone in on our craft and really learn this thing, right? So that's amazing. So, wow. So, what motivated you to, because obviously you didn't start thinking this was going to be a seven-figure business.
No.
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 You started thinking, oh, well, this is an opportunity. Maybe we can just kind of do something to help people.
Right.
But what made you want to build it out on a larger scale? Like, tell me about that.
I, for me, it was being able to see the impact that we were having, not necessarily in the community, but in the lives of the children and the families we were serving. That, even now, to be able to hear stories, we just had a staff meeting this past Saturday, and it was so amazing to hear these stories of our staff members providing, I'm almost about to cry, providing services to these children and these families, and how our staff members, there are some children who have been with our staff members so long that they are almost considered part of these people's families. That to me speaks volumes. It's not just about getting the numbers. It's not just about getting the revenue. It's about making an impact. And that's why Lawrence and I started Nova, because Nova actually stands for No One Ventures Alone. That's how we came up with the name Nova. No one ventures alone. So when you hear your staff members and you hear your people talking about how we've had this one kid and they've gone through other providers, but those providers now turn around and go, okay, yeah, you need to give this kid back to Nova because we are making an impact in their lives. And that to me is what's important. So when you think of counseling, you automatically think of helping. And that's a good word, but for me, it's more about impact. How can I impact the trajectory of somebody's life?
And I love that you said that your focus is not really on the revenue stream. It's on adding value,
Right.
right? Being able to impact those who are your clients, the students. And let's just be real, they need it.
They do.
Right? We're in a time and place where kids are really raising themselves. And so being able to have those outside, because it, like we hear people say it takes a village, right?
Right.
We are a part of their village, right? And that's amazing to even hear that it trickles down to your staff.
Yes.
That's another important component too, is that as founders, as CEOs, you just can't do it by yourself.
Right.
You got to have people on your staff that care about the craft,
Right.
care about the people you serve, because it will not scale if you do not have that.
Right. And our
Yeah.
hashtag internally it's our office hashtag. It's Nova Made. You
Yeah.
have to be Nova Made to be here.
Wow. Wow. So you have over 30 employees, or we would say staff members, I guess,
Yes.
that are part of your team. And y'all are impacting beyond because you serve Albany and beyond, right?
We do. We are in 20 counties now, statewide. And sometimes when we say that, it's like, oh, wow, you're stretching out that far. Not necessarily, because when you think a child that's in foster care, that child may be in foster care in Fulton County, but they may be placed in a foster home here in Southwest Georgia or vice versa. So we do we're 20 counties now. Yeah.
That's amazing. All right, so let's talk about this. What are some of the challenges that you faced in building your business into a seven-figure? And I know there are probably many stories you're like, probably that one, but just think of a few that you know will relate to the audience that may be very impactful for them to hear.
Yeah. The first one for me is fear. Because when we started, we were just in Southwest Georgia. We were just in this small little area. And as we ventured out, as our name became known in the state, we were getting service authorizations and requests to go to this county and that county and this county. And I got fearful of growing too far too fast and not being able to keep my hands on the growth. And I remember having a conversation with Lawrence, and Lawrence says, I thought you wanted to have an impact. And in order to have an impact, what has to happen is you have to feel uncomfortable. And I started to take my shoe off and throw it at him. And because I was like, you're right. Sometimes having an impact means that I have to be uncomfortable in order to grow myself. And so that was the first lesson for me, was growing myself before I could grow the business. And that was hard because you're thinking one way in your head that, well, why do we have to grow? We good right here. You know, we running things right here. But when you have a bigger calling on your life and on your business, and that was the thing, I turned my business over to God every single day, in the morning and every single night.
Yes.
I'm like, okay, look, Lord, whatever you think you need to do with Nova, go ahead and do it. We all right with it. And when he said to us, it's just time to grow, I was uncomfortable. I did it kicking and screaming. I did it fearful. But what I recognize is when I let go, that's when he works his magic. Yeah.
So I love the part that you said that you had to emphasize growing yourself, right? And we don't often realize, I have this phrase that I tell people is that you make your money in your mindset, right?
Right.
Your mindset determines how far you go, how far you can reach, and how much impact you can make. Because the limitations don't happen with people.
No.
They happen here. And my ability to, because one of the things I pray over, the people I know, over my own business, is that God gives us creative ability, creative thought ways.
Right.
Because then when you have that creativity, you're able to see beyond just, okay, I have this product or I have this one service, but how can I take this service and innovate it? Innovate the industry in which I'm working in, right? That's what Innovate Hub is for. It's like really getting people to think beyond just, oh, I'm just serving me and my cousins, or I'm serving, I got a bakery in my house and I'm only serving my church. Like, how do we take that idea and think beyond?
Right.
And so going back to the thought of growing yourself, what did that look like? What are some things that you implemented to help grow yourself?
I started, number one, there was some people that fell away. That's the hardest thing about growing, is sometimes you have to do it in isolation, right? Because not everybody is meant to go everywhere with you. And there are some people that I had to let go of. There were some people that I had to stop having conversations with, because what God was showing me was not just the part of Nova that I saw, right? There are parts of our business that I see, but there are parts of the business that God knows where he's going to take it. And slowly he will start to let me see those different areas. We've ended up getting contracts from places I never thought we would get contracts from. Well, when Nova started, Nova only had one contract. So now we have three contracts. And those were in places that I never even imagined having a contract in. One is a federal contract and two more state contracts. And I was like, oh my gosh, I never even thought about that. And now we're about to start another area of Nova in 2026 that completely blows my mind. But God gave me the download for it and said, this is why I wanted you to master where you are. Because where you are, in order to go where I want you to go, this has to be mastered first. And so I invested in myself first by hiring coaches to do exactly what you said, to help me change my mindset. Because I put limits on myself based on what I saw here. And here's the thing, once your mind has been exposed, it can't go back to its original state. Yeah. And so when he started showing me my coaches who I needed to align myself with and grow with, then my mind started just going, okay, wait a minute. You mean I can do this, this, and this? I can scale my business by doing this. I can go to these places. I can sit under these coaches. And the language changes. And as the language begins to change, the mind begins to change. And as the mind begins to change, what you see begins to change. So it's not just a physical change, it's also a spiritual change, because now you don't operate in limits. Because you recognize that the mind has no limits. The only limit is the limit I put on myself.
Doc, you sound so good. They had hyped me up for a second there. I got a lot of energy. So I think to think about what you said is so much. But the language change,
The
right?
language changes. Let me give you an example.
Go ahead, Doc.
One of the language changes for me was, it's not money, it's revenue and income. See, money is a hustle and grind term, but revenue and income means that you're a business owner, not a hustle and grind owner, not a side hustle. You're a business owner because now you got to know your numbers, right? And that's revenue and income because you make decisions based on revenue and income. So it's no longer money, it's revenue and income. That was one of the major shifts for me. I was like, oh, wait, I got to get my money in so I can do this and I can do that. No, I don't need money. Money is a resource, but revenue and income is different. Yeah.
Okay. So the language shift, the mindset shift, the importance of coaches, even the simple fact of what you said of the drop off, and it happens. And what I want to kind of break down what you said into different pieces. You add wherever you want to, but part of it is as you're growing, the mindset shifts, and it's almost like oxygen that certain individuals, and it's not from a toxic standpoint. It's from a place of growth,
Right.
where anything that grows, something must die, right? Something has to let go, and that's a part of growth. And so as much as we want to be loyal to certain things, I always say you can't be loyal to dysfunction.
That part right
because there are parts in us that are dysfunctional, but growth helps us expose those areas because the way I start my business day one cannot be the way I operated in year 7 or year 11.
Right.
If I am, I'm not growing.
Exactly.
Then you talked about these coaches. Now, this is where I really want to hone in. It's because sometimes we don't want people in our business.
Right.
Right?
Right.
We don't want them knowing the struggles, where we have weaknesses, where are the areas of growth. But tell me about how these coaches help you change your mindset, your language, all of that.
Right. So last year and the year before that, Lawrence and I spent, the two of us together, 5 figures, middle 5 figures in coaches. We did that because we recognized in order to grow, we had to grow ourselves first. And some people probably just heard that number and clutched their pearls. But when you think of the payoff on the backside, when you've been able to change your mindset, when you've been able to change the language and your environment, here's the thing. You'll never be a 6-figure or 7-figure person if you're not sitting in the room with them. Because you don't know how 6-figure and 7-figure people think.
Yes.
You don't know how they move. You don't know how they operate. So if you've not done that, if you've not been exposed to that, then how can you have that? Right? Lawrence and I went to Dubai years ago, and there's nothing like Emirates.
I got to go to Dubai, y'all.
Listen to me. Number 1, there's nothing like Dubai.
Yeah.
Number 2, there's nothing like Emirates. And so when we fly to Dubai, here's what Lawrence and I always do. We peep over in first class because first class Emirates is like almost 20 grand. It's on a whole nother level.
Wow.
We peep over in there and go, we'll be back. Because once you've been exposed to it, it's almost like a hunger in you that you're like, I got to have that. I got to be a part of that. And when it came to being able to say we want to have more, we want to be more, do more, and have more. Think about that. I want to be more. I want to do more with what I have, and I want to actually have more. In order for that to happen, you've got to have people that can take you there. I don't know about you, but I couldn't get to California in a Yugo. And y'all don't act like y'all don't know what a Yugo is, okay? You can't get to California driving a Yugo. It would be impossible. But you could get to California driving a Toyota. You could get to California driving a Lexus. You could get to California driving a Rolls Royce or a Bentley. What I'm saying is, once you've decided where you want to go, now you've got to figure out how to get there. And that's what coaching does. Coaching puts you in a place where, number 1, you're working with people who are at the level you want to be. Number 2, they're now helping you to change the mindset and the limits that you put on yourself thinking that you can't. And they're helping you to see yourself differently. And that, to me, is one of the most important things I've been able to do with my business is now I've got to see myself differently so I can see my business differently.
God, that's so good. Because most people, the reason they don't invest is because they don't see immediate results.
Right.
Right? And you're not going to see immediate results.
No.
But what you're going to see is progression in your thought patterns and the way you see things. And you're going to be like, wow. Because coaches, one of the things that Doc said, and let me say this, because I know them. You know, Pastor Knighton, Dr. Tracy, they'll be sending me texts. While they're on their trips, they're exposing me through video, Dubai, some of these coaches that they've been exposed to. So I'm getting exposure through their exposure. And of course, I go in rooms too because I need the exposure for myself. But the reality is that as they're going into their spaces, every single time they're coming back different. And that result may not happen immediately.
Right.
But think about this. I'm going to use an example because I know y'all did it. So I've been in their house, right? When they first got in their house, it may have looked one way. They got exposed to Dubai, all these different places. Then we come into the house, and the house is no longer looking the same way like it was. I'm like, oh, y'all done changed this, done changed that. And exposure changes us.
Right.
Right? We see things work easier, but whether it's a microwave opening up automatically, right? I'm all up in the house, right? or whatever. Even the thought of, well, you know, instead of me cooking, and let me buy back some of my time and have someone make meals for me.
Yes, exactly.
Like those type of things that people think are a luxury, but really it's just an investment so you can buy back your time.
Exactly. And that's the difference when you get a coach, because now your language starts to change and you recognize that my time is a luxury.
Yeah.
Right? It's not something I give away easy. It's not something that I don't mind investing in because I know I get this back in return. I was sitting with one of my coaches last month. I had a call with one of my coaches last month. And she said to me, well, Tracy, it's the end of the year. What are your plans for 2027? I said, we skipped over 2026. She said, no, we already did 26 because you did 26 back in September. And I went, oh yeah, you're right. But here's the thing, the old Tracy popped back up because the old Tracy said, oh, I got to get ready for the next year. No. Sometimes it will creep back up. And that's why coaches are important because coaches help to remind you of where you're trying to go. And so when she said to me, no, we already did 2026. We did that this summer in September. So your 2026 is done. You just got to execute.
Yeah.
2027 is what's on the horizon. What are we doing in 2027? And I went, oh my God, you are right. I'm not used to having 2026 already done. Yeah. Right? The old me would have been like December 31st. Okay, what am I going to do? The new Tracy already has it done. Check. Now let's move on to the next year. And so that's what coaches do for me now is that they help me to see beyond where I am. One of my coaches is, I was like, okay, I'm good, 7 figures. Yeah. She's like, no. My coach said, I need to be in rooms now with 8 and 9 figure coaches. She says, I don't go into a room with people who are not 8 and 9. I said, ooh, I'm still trying to, process 7, but she's 8 and 9. So it's not that you are envious or jealous.
Oh, no.
It's none of that. Yeah. It's because you can do it. Oh, now I can do it. Yeah. You've shown me what's out there, what's available to me if I just unlock the limits that I've put on myself.
Yeah. What you just said is all of that is so true, but even the part of the jealousy part is that that's a mindset shift too.
Absolutely.
Because you cannot have a mindset of, I don't want to say poverty, but it really is a poverty mindset.
It is.
You have to move to a place of abundance in your mindset. Pastor Simmons talked about this on the first episode of our first season. Why it's so important to have an abundance mindset? Because you see possibilities in everywhere.
Everywhere.
And when you realize, even in the world we live in the age of AI and the age of tech, there is no reason none of us should not be succeeding in any area that we put our heart to.
Exactly.
There's no reason.
Exactly. And here's the thing, living in rural Georgia doesn't make it any different. If I can run a business and make the business 7 figures, then why not 8? Why not 9? I'm watching other people who can do it. And all I have to do is connect myself with the right people and listen to what they're doing
Yep.
and what they've done
Yep.
and follow the instructions.
And that's the whole purpose of this episode. I put rural because people have this mindset thinking, well, because it's Albany or because it's Baconton or because it's Camilla, wherever it is in this small town, that I'm limited by my environment.
Right.
But that's not the case.
No.
Now, you may be limited in your thinking in the beginning because of who you surround yourself with.
Right.
But the environment in the city itself does not limit you.
Right.
You limit you.
Exactly.
Imagine turning your business into a brand people can't stop talking about. Marketing that matters. The Entrepreneur's Guide to Growth and Success by Corey Holman. It's your blueprint for building unstoppable momentum. This book is packed with innovative ideas, action steps, and game-changing insights that you can use right now. Are you ready to disrupt your industry? Don't wait. Grab your copy now on Amazon and start dominating your market today.
And I love the story of back to Dubai. Actually, how Dubai got started, it was desert.
Yeah.
And here's the crazy part. When you go to Dubai, you don't even know you're in a desert until you go into the world's tallest building and you look down and you go, wait a minute, I'm in the middle of a desert. To watch Dubai transform from the time we went our first time, which was 2016, to 2025 this time, because we just went in April, it's amazing to me. 5-star hotels everywhere with 5-star service and 5-star mentality. And so you can live in Albany, but that doesn't mean that you have to have Albany mentality. You've got to be able to, if you can go buy yourself a Coach bag or buy yourself a Louis bag or want red bottom shoes or want eyelashes every single week, imagine what you could do if you invested in yourself. Imagine what you can do if you invested in your mind.
Yep.
Because we're only limited by what we think or what we don't think. And so the more that I'm exposed to different people, different places, different things, the more I want, not just for me, but to be able to give to other people so that they can go out and now make an impact.
I want to add something to this piece. The simple fact is, and as you're preparing for rooms in 2026, right? As you're preparing for rooms, you're not just going in the room to say, hey, can you help me with this? No. Your mindset should be, when you're going into these rooms, watch how these individuals think.
Yes.
Observe them.
Yes.
Observe how they're processing, even whether they're on a panel or whether they're even in the Zoom call. Like, observe their thought patterns and start developing those same, right?
yeah.
I'm not saying that you have to mimic it, that you don't mimic the way they're doing things. I'm saying watch how they think.
Yes.
You'll notice that every 7-figure, 8-figure, 9-figure, you talked about how your coach was planning for 2027, but even most millionaires are already in 2035.
Yes.
Right? Are 2050 of what their legacy looks like.
Right.
And we're planning for the next month. Right?
Exactly.
And so it's that mindset shift of, and I'm going to share this and I'm going to get back into this because I want to share this as a tip. In your downtime, whatever that downtime is in your industry, that should be your preparation stage.
Right.
So if it's summer, for me, it's summer and around Christmas time because nobody's bothering me. Nobody's trying to text me. Nobody's bothered by me. So I take that time to say, all right, well, what are we going to do for this next year? What are we going to do what does my next year or my next couple years look like? And what it does is it helps you, because you said your coach reminds you.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And you have to continuously be reminded of who you are and what you're doing.
Right.
And why you're doing it.
Exactly. And here's what we have to remember. There's a part of you, like you said earlier, that has to die. Here's the thing. You can't build on a shaky foundation. Right? So Atlanta's going through a growth change right now because they're hosting the soccer right? So you go into Atlanta right now, it looks like a hot mess, right? But while they're tearing down old stuff, they're building new stuff. You cannot have new stuff built on top of old stuff. And the Bible says it this way, you can't put new wine into old
wineskin.
Right.
Come on.
You can't do it. So when you even think about your own mindset, in order to grow, there are some strongholds that you've got to tear down yourself. And as you're growing, just be reminded that there are going to be some times where those strongholds are like, hey, girl, you remember when you used to? That's why it's important to have those people around you, because those people around you are the right people are going to remind you of where you're trying to go. They're gonna help you tear down those strongholds versus you trying to put that new wine into those old wineskins.
Oh, that's so true. Because entrepreneurship, the journey, it really is just about growing you.
Yeah.
Like it is not even like, if you really think about it that way, it is a hard journey of looking in the mirror.
Sure enough, it's like, ooh, I see you.
It's like, I mean, because you can't blame anyone else in entrepreneurship. You can't blame no one else but you for your success.
Yep.
And that's the mindset too, is getting over, I cannot blame anyone.
Right.
I cannot blame my family. I cannot blame the economy. I cannot blame. Now they may affect a little bit, but your mindset has to be so abundant that, because here's the thing, even in the economy, while money is going one way, it's going another way. So you just got to get in the current of where it's going.
Exactly.
So the money is going in a certain direction. So this is why Pastor Simmons talked about this. Like, even if, some people, well, I don't like who president is. Well, get over it.
What does that have to do with you?
Because here's the thing. When a president comes in, when they're doing that inauguration address, there are companies, Pastor Simmons shared this in an episode, there are companies listening to that inauguration address, and they're tailoring their policy, their structure, so that they can what? Make more money.
Exactly.
How do we align our policy? And we get mad, well, they're changing this policy, it benefits this, but you don't realize they're changing it so that they can stay in, because they realize, okay, well, a new president's come, an old has left. We got to learn how to build in a new wineskin.
Exactly. We got to shift. And what does shifting look like?
Yeah.
And here, even now with the state and our business right now, the state of Georgia has shifted. Yeah. And so some people are having a hard time with that shift. But what do? You adjust your sail and you just keep moving.
You have to.
And here's the other part. You recognize that there are some changes coming. What's another way? That my business can grow? It may not necessarily grow in the way that it is established right now, and that's okay. But is there another arm that I can extend to offer some more services in a different place or do something different? And that's what I love about entrepreneurship, because it doesn't mean that you have to be married to the place that you are right now, that you got to stand firmly planted by the rivers. You don't have to be a tree firmly planted.
Come on.
You can move. You can go with a current. You can see a need over here and you can go, you know what? I'm going to keep this right here, but I see a need over here that I need to go address. That could be another arm of your business. And so as entrepreneurs, we have to always keep our minds open, and we always have to be lifelong learners.
We do. I'm going to add to this too, Doc, because sometimes I hate to say it, but even our spirituality, or the way way we're taught, can bother us. Because we're thinking, well, why do I need to pursue this? But here's the thing that people don't realize. It's ministry when you're in the marketplace.
It's ministry and marketplace.
There are conversations and people you will never be able to interact with if I stay in the walls of a church.
Exactly.
You ain't, if I'm in the walls of the church and I'm an usher and that's all I do, I am never going to encounter someone. They may come into the door of a church.
Right.
But you're limiting the impact of, if I'm a disciple of Christ, right, then I'm limiting this power and this authority that I say I have that only works in the church. It has to be showcased in the marketplace, right?
Exactly.
So if it is true power, it translates into the marketplace, where then we're making impact on the lives of people.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And it's that mindset shift because people be like, oh, 'cause I felt that someone's probably thinking, well, we don't need all that. Well, you may not. But it's not about that. It's about the impact. It's about the doors being open where I probably wouldn't have encountered this person if I did not open a business.
Exactly.
So we've been enjoying this conversation. So I ain't even looked at my questions yet. But talk about that, like even the simple fact of the impact that you're making on your clients. Is there one story that, and I know you because the type of clients you serve, you can't mention names and stuff like that, but a story that just impacted you, that just rejuvenated like that passion of why you do what you do?
It was a private practice, so not the contracted side, but a private practice client. Literally coming changed her life. She felt like she was ready to take herself out of here. And because I had done the work on myself, I saw in her the old Tracy. I was like, wait a minute. Her language was the old Tracy language, her mannerisms, just a lot of it. And in working with her, it literally not only changed her, but it changed her family. And it's so funny now, the running joke in the house is that, oh, you need your private time. And they say that jokingly to her, but what she noticed is that now they take their own private time. And it was being able to come to a place where, number one, I wanted to make an impact in her as a therapist. And so I was able to pour into her what she needed to be able to transform not only her own life, but her family's life now. And so that is where I wake up every morning and I go, God, give me the right word to say to the right person at the right time. Because I could say the right word, but it'd be the wrong time. I could say the wrong word to a person who really needed something in that moment. And that's always my prayer, whether I'm in private practice or we're doing the work that we're doing contracted with the state, or if somebody sees me at Walmart and says, I've watched you on Facebook and what you said was XYZ, which actually happened to me yesterday. Making sure that whatever I do and wherever I am, it is impactful and not to make an impression.
That's so good. Oh, Doc. Ooh, I'm enjoying this conversation. Y'all enjoying this? I know I am. So let's talk about this. I got a couple more questions,
Okay.
and then we can wrap this up. So what strategies or systems that you think were most critical to scaling your business?
Yep. Most critical, number one, is you got to have a good infrastructure.
Okay.
You've got whatever business you're in, how are you doing your billing, right? How are you making sure that you're following through with your customers or your clients? How are you making sure that you are paying your bills on time? Number one, you got to get your revenue and your income from your clients, but then you got to turn around and make good on your own bills and your own obligations. So it's making sure that your own infrastructure is in place. I mentioned earlier that the state is shifting. One of the contracts that we have, the state is shifting, which means now because the state is shifting, I've got to make some changes inside of the business as well as how we do our billing. So we're out making sure that as we turn this corner with the state and they're turning the corner, we're going to be able to turn the corner with them and not get left behind because we didn't do what we need to do, which means that you got to invest back in your business, not your side hustle, your business. So as your language changes, it's no longer a side hustle and you got to get your grind on. It's you making sure that your business runs effectively and efficiently.
There's a saying in Chick-fil-A where you say you have to reinvent continuously. And the way I run my business today, and that it is tough because you work so hard to get it to one point.
Yes.
And then now I gotta change. and you have to, and like you said, you come kicking and screaming because I finally got it right, but then a person shifts or leadership shifts and I'm not even just talking about government wise, I'm just talking about maybe in the organization. You have to continuously shift and start building those relationships. So whatever that business is, you have to always shift. One of the things that my former boss told me, he was like, in leadership, like if you're working with organizations, you're probably going to see a leadership shift probably every 3 to 4 years.
Right.
So you need to prepare on strengthening those partnerships, strengthening those relationships with organizations, because once they leave, you could be left behind.
Exactly.
Whatever the service is or whatever the
Exactly.
organization is. So what are some advice that you would give aspiring entrepreneurs looking to build a thriving business in what may be considered a rural area?
Yeah. One of the things one of my coaches said, just start. Stop thinking, stop trying to make it perfect, and just start. If you never start, you'll never know what could have. But what we do know for sure is if you don't start, it never will be. So just start. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to look good. Remember, Lawrence and I just got started with the two of us, and we were asking a lot of questions because we had no clue. The person that I was supposed to start the business with, they were already in the business. So they knew everything. So it was going to be the perfect partnership because I was going to be able to learn under somebody who was already doing it. But when that person ghosted us and it was just me and him starting the business now, it was like, okay, what do we do? Right? So just start. We started with just 2 people. Now we have over 30. We're a 7-figure business. 11 years later, well, 10 years because we actually hit 7 figures last year. So you just start. It doesn't have to be pretty, doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to know all of the ins and outs, but you do have to start.
That's good. And in addition to that, so I'm gonna ask you another question in that same question, because when you're starting off, it seems, well, if my revenue is 0 to 7 figures, that seems like a long way to go, right? So let's talk about from a business that they've been in business for a little bit now. So now they're making over 6 figures, but they want to break into the 7-figure and, other spaces as well. Like, what is something that you would say to them? What did you have to maybe deal with to break to that next place?
I'm going to be honest with you. I had to get a coach. I had to get somebody to help me see myself differently. And it had nothing to do with the business, so to speak, and how I needed to get another strategy or get another platform. I mean, another way to do my billing or get another. It wasn't any of that. It really started, Corey, with me changing my mindset. Because here's the thing: 6 figures is good. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, we can't sneeze at 6 figures in rural Georgia. Anywhere, 6 figures is good. But here's the thing. Once I got a coach and my coach started to help me think differently and open up some of the lock limitations that I had in my mind, I was able to think more clearly, which that is how I was able to move us to the next level. That's how Lawrence was able to move us to the next level. Being able to unlock some of those things that were held captive in just being, oh, we're good here. We don't have to move anywhere. That software works great. We don't need a new software. But in order to get to the next level, sometimes you've got to make some different choices and some different decisions, because decision means to decide to cut off. That's what a decision is. I'm cutting off any other option. So when we decided to get a coach to help us change the way we saw things and to change the way we saw ourselves, now we can think clearly. Now we can open our minds up a little bit more and go, okay, what's $1,700, $3,500 for this software versus this one, when on the back end it's going to give you that much. It's going to free your time up to give you this amount of time available to you to do other things now. Oh, you mean I need to hire somebody? And that probably was my hardest decision, was to hire a full-time director of services.
I was going to ask you that,
yeah. Yeah, that person, number one, I was still working full-time for the school system. So being able to run the business and do that, it was so overwhelming. I was like, oh my God, I can't do it anymore. So sitting down with Lawrence and having that discussion is okay, we need to bring somebody on whose sole purpose is to run the business. Yeah. That was very, very scary. Like, you mean I got to pay a salary to somebody? What? And again,
trust.
Yeah, and trust that they're going to do what they say they're going to do, while I go over here and still do what I'm obligated to do. And that's where the coaching comes in. It helps you think about it, Tracy. You're going to pay this person this amount of money to free up your time so that when you come home from work and seeing clients yourself, you don't have to stay up till 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning and get back up and be at work at 8 o'clock. wait a minute, that does make sense. So yeah, being able to be around those right people.
I got two last questions.
Two last
Two
questions.
last questions. And what did you feel like you wasted your time on? Like that held you back? Like, you know what I'm saying? Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yep. I feel like I wasted, and I won't call it wasted because when we do a language shift,
Okay.
so there are lessons that I learned, and one of the lessons I wished I had learned earlier was to trust myself, because I did not trust myself. And I wish I had learned earlier to allow myself the opportunity to fail without fear, because failure doesn't mean that it's going to be fatal. Failure means it's a lesson, and you learn the lesson. And so I was operating in fear for so long that I wish I had learned earlier that you don't have to operate in fear.
All right. So tell me about your business in terms of how people can connect with you if they want to, connect with you on the counseling, getting services for their children or even for themselves. How do people go about doing that?
Sure. So Nova Counseling is located in Albany, Georgia, 1702 Gillianville Road. Our phone number is 229-589-8873. We're on social media, Nova Counseling and Consulting Services, on Facebook. And then for coaching, because I also do coaching,
Okay.
that is Dr. Tracy Knighton on Instagram. And you can also ask about the coaching services through the business as well.
Okay. Now, is this coaching for other businesses?
Coaching for other businesses. I also work with therapists who are wanting to start their own private practice. And so I've worked with therapists to help them get their private practices started. I also coach women who are in midlife, as you know.
Yes.
Trying to help them navigate what this whole midlife thing is all about, right? I've just turned 55 in September. So helping women navigate what midlife looks like for them and helping them to create their own magic. And then Lawrence and I also do relationship coaching.
That's right. So all of these things you can do. You can follow her on her social media, because you said people already saw her at Walmart. They recognized her, right? But follow her, especially those who are going through that midlife stage, learning. And really what we realize is that we need community, right?
Oh, absolutely.
We need people that are kind of
Yes.
walking through the same circumstances. Even what I'm doing today is why I'm doing it, because I know there are entrepreneurs in my space. And even for myself, it's like, how can we grow? How can we continuously be lifelong learners, right? But anything else that you want to say encouraging to the audience before we wrap it up? Any last words?
One of the things I would love to have happen in Albany, Georgia, is what you're already doing, is bringing entrepreneurs together to help them work together instead of in isolation. Being an entrepreneur is an isolating career. I won't say job, because it's a career. It's an isolated calling to be an entrepreneur. But it's also rewarding because you get to see as something that you birthed and brought out of your own imagination now grows and develops just like a child. And so I would encourage everyone is to find a coach. Find you a coach. You may not have a coach here locally, but find you a coach. I'm not talking about an Instagram or a Facebook coach that you follow. Oh, I follow so-and-so. No, I'm talking about a real coach where you've invested your time and your talent and your treasure with this person. You trusted this person to hear your fears, your flaws, all of that. Invest in yourself, in a coach, so that that person can help you see the person you're going to become.
Thank you, Dr. Tracy. I appreciate this. I appreciate you sharing your wisdom, sharing your insight with me as well as the audience. One of the things I want to share as we wrap this up is God's giving you an idea. He's giving you a vision. He's giving you a business. And we brought Dr. Tracy in because we want to show you an example that, number one, it can happen. It can happen. So don't feel like me not starting or me staying in this place of, well, I see everybody else is doing it. Well, you can see everybody else doing it until you can start seeing yourself doing it too. So I want to encourage you to rewatch this episode over and over again. Listen to the advice that Dr. Tracy has mentioned. Get a coach. Invest in yourself. Don't worry about streams right away. Grow yourself. Grow yourself as a leader, as an individual, and you'll start attracting all of those things that you think that, or you know that are supposed to happen in your life. So Dr. Tracy, thank you again for joining us. Make sure you follow her, Nova Counseling Services, and follow her on social media, Dr. Tracy Knighton, on all platforms. She has master classes that her and her husband do with Red Flag coaches, as well as the Empowered Midlife.
Yes.
Is that what you call it on social media too?
On social media, it's under Dr. Tracy Knighton.
But don't you have like another name that you do?
Yeah.
Like your,
on
your
YouTube,
monthly?
it is the Empowered Midlife.
Oh, it is?
It
Okay, okay.
yes.
All right. So she drops nuggets every single day still?
Sure.
Just follow her. There's a bunch of content out there. You could be watching it daily, all right? Thank you all for joining us on this episode. We'll see you on the next episode. Thank you for joining us. Have a blessed day.